All right. So
Good evening, everybody. It is April the 16th, Thursday night. Welcome to the joint venture between Yankee T News and Common Sense News and Entertainment. Once again, I'm here with Court Rotnowski. We have a lot of important stuff to talk about here tonight.
Right.
And we're going to get right into it.
Okay.
I'm going to enlarge my screen, which I always forget to do.
Okay. To my audience, hello. Here we are. There's Jason. And we've got quite a few things to cover. So, yeah, there you go.
So we want to start off about a pretty cool topic involving Connecticut, of course. Today on my other show, Connecticut Common Sense with Selena Rifkin, which we're now 16 months in the making, by the way. 2 days a week. We're on every Tuesday and Thursday night. We record during the day and we post it sometime that night. Once in a while, we get a little screwed up in the head and it doesn't come out till the next morning. But generally, there it is, twice a week. We've been there for a long time, and we've had some good guests over the course of the last year plus. And today we interviewed gubernatorial candidate Betsy McCoy. About 30 minutes. It's a very fruitful discussion. She's been going around the state, doing the job, meeting a lot of different people, saying the right things. But you might want to check this out because, we got her off the script a little bit. We got her talking about some of the other issues that I think that we think are important. And but what came out of this was interesting. And let me just extrapolate here for a minute. Go to another story. Recently, I was told that Aaron Stewart, who of course is another. For those of you who don't know, the three major gubernatorial candidates for the Republican Party are now Ryan Fazio, Aaron Stewart, and Betsy McCoy. And of course, Aaron Stewart recently was confronted about the possibility of a debate. And Aaron showed indication she did not want to debate, which has obviously caused her some heat. Fazio and McCoy have indicated they are willing to debate. Now, here's the kicker. Our friend, Ben Proto, the mole Republican chairman,
Mole.
He is a mole.
He's a fattest
all straight face.
Oh my
He's
God!
There to help us lose. Well, who? Let me ask you this: who other than a mole would tell the candidates that they're not going to sponsor a debate and that they don't want to have a debate until after the primaries and the convention?
To me,
which means they don't want to debate amongst themselves at all. They don't want them to go up against Lamont.
All it reflects is just how gutless and spineless Ben Proto is.
It's not just gutlessness; it's worse than that. But the point of this is, though, get on with the story. Because of that, there doesn't seem to be much of a plan for a debate. Now, Selena and I got to thinking, and a debate doesn't have to be sponsored by the state or the state central committee. The Rotary Club can sponsor it. The Elks Club can sponsor it. The CTRA, any organization can sponsor a debate, right? So let's make this happen. Yes. So we got on the phone today, and I got the CTRA to agree to sponsor a debate, and in the near future as well, in the next few weeks, because we know the primaries are coming up, or the convention, is coming up in just a few weeks.
That's right.
And the primaries will be later, but we want to do it before all this. So we're trying to put something together on short notice. We've come very far in just a few hours. I think Donald Trump will be proud of our efficiency here. We've got the Cadillac Ranch in Southington to agree to host this debate. So we have a sponsor and a host. And I've personally spoken with Betsy. She's all gung-ho for it. I believe I haven't spoken personally with Fazio yet, but he's indicated he's also ready and willing to debate at any time, any place, which I give him credit for that. Stewart, now I've heard rumors that she doesn't want to debate or is probably just going along with what Proto said. So we're going to put some pressure on Aaron. Well, of course, at first we'll ask her politely if she's going to participate or not. I did that already. She and I have had discussions on Facebook, by the way, over the last year or so, on and off. She kind of ghosts me for a while. Then she comes out and says a couple things. We were trying to get out on our show. She's not really committed to that at this point. I think she's afraid of some of the questions I might ask her, which I can understand why, because I'm going to ask tough questions. She should know, though, I won't be part of the questioning at this debate that we're organizing. But we are organizing it, and I think it's going to happen. And I think Aaron's going to be wise to attend. And if she doesn't, if we get it set up and she doesn't tell us what your plan is. If we can get the venue, we got the venue, we got the sponsor. All we need is Fazio.
All right. Well, I'm going to be calling around to some of these sign-making companies, and I'm going to ask for one that can produce a life-size cutout, full-color picture of Aaron and make it very clear to her that either she shows up or the cutout shows up. So she better
one or the other. She better show up. Now, what is more fundamental to a democracy or a free republic then free and open debate for the public to ascertain differences between the candidates that they have to vote for. Now, to me, if that's not common sense, I don't know what is. So if you're not willing to do it, in my opinion, you shouldn't be running. You certainly shouldn't win. So.
Well, there's a question here about what kind of debate.
Well, fair debate.
Are you going to do a League of Women Voters debate? Okay, where you just you have preset questions that you pretend you taken from the audience, and then you just ask each candidate each question, and that's it? Or would you have a Lincoln Douglas style debate where the candidates have at with each other?
That's a very interesting question. And I think I've never organized a debate before, but I've watched enough of them over the years, and those are the two major formats. If I was in charge of it, I would do it both ways. I would have four. First of all, Betsy talked about the four issues about the home ownership, property taxes, income tax, and those three she talked about. I threw in the fourth one, the cultural warfare that's going on. Yeah. And I think you should. If I were in charge, I would have 4 questions based on those 4 major topics.
Okay.
And I would ask each candidate the same question, allow them 2 minutes to answer it or whatnot. Try to be strict as we can about the timing. And then I'll maybe allow for what you do at the end of all that is for the second half, you say you go back to the question, but you allow for rebuttal. And that's where they go at each other.
Right. So good.
And then you let the audience ask questions at the end
as well. Yes. So, I mean, I don't know.
If you're going to ask, I'm sorry, real quick. If you're going to ask the audience to ask questions, what's that?
You were there.
If you're going to ask the audience to ask questions directly to the candidates, then it should be absolutely organic. You just have to fit the people in there because you don't want any crazy people getting up and swearing and asking ridiculous stuff. You have to fit the crowd, but once you have the crowd in there, it's organic all the way.
All right. I begin to wonder, though. So there are these standard approaches, and I think we're being a little bit more creative than these other goofy organizations by trying to use all 3 of these methods by which debate and discussion can occur. But at the same time, I'm just asking myself, is there something else here we haven't thought of yet? Is there some creative, unexpected way of
a fourth way to do a debate?
Yeah, whatever that fourth way is. I'm not quite sure yet. So I want to think about it, but I'm willing to bet that we come up with something that's utterly unique, which will make this debate special and memorable.
Make them play a game of like charades or something.
Charades?
Make them play a game of Pictionary. Or one of those creative, goofy games where you
okay.
I think you can learn something. I mean, I'm joking around.
That's a start. It's nothing. Well, this is how
I'm joking. I'm joking, but I'm not entirely joking because a really good way to get to know what somebody's all about is when you play those silly games with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah. All right.
What if we ask them trivia questions, like to test their knowledge about geopolitics in general?
Very good.
History of Connecticut, things like that.
Write that one down.
Like the point system going on.
Oh my goodness, yes, I'm writing this down. Okay, we'll call it.
Yeah, you write it down. I'll have a pen with me. But I think it's a good idea, and we do it fairly. Like we say, look, we understand that you're not going to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a draw for the audience. Oh,
and we'll make the questions. We don't want to make the questions too hard so none of them can answer them, but we don't want to make them too easy either. So like medium, level difficulty questions that you would think the parent would know.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, we will. I like that.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right. So now I think we've tied a bow on that one.
Better than the adult Pictionary games, I guess, idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I beat that one. I trumped out that one. But anyway, I think that enough's been said about this. But we are really going to work hard over the next few days because this is short notice. We only have, if we don't, I think the convention's in late May, if I'm not mistaken. So mid or late May. So we really only have a month or so to play this out. Not even. So we'll see what happens. It's about availability. I would say that any of the candidates, if I know conflict and timing and stuff, and I know that CTRA thought about doing a Zoom one. That doesn't cut it, in my opinion.
No,
it's got to be in person.
Yep.
And I know schedules are tight this time of the year, but I would say to each of the candidates, if whatever you have, if we come up with a date, whatever you have, cancel it and do whatever you have planned. If there's a conflict, cancel that, postpone it, and you're going to do this. You got to do this debate. You got to answer the people.
Well, I think it stands to reason that, I mean, we're very close to coming up with a brilliant marketing campaign for this, and it's going to be a draw.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that too is going to pressure Aaron to show up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I also direct messaged Fazio too. He hasn't answered me back. Yeah, I haven't checked in a couple hours, but we'll see what happens with Ryan's another guy, because we need him on board too. We need him, and I'm not sure if he's going to tuck in with Aaron here. If he does, that could make it difficult.
No, I don't. No.
I know they've been going at it with each other a little bit. I know Aaron's been attacking him as a millionaire guy or whatnot.
Ryan's a millionaire?
Well, he's from Greenwich.
No,
a lot of people from Greenwich are rich.
No.
He doesn't come from a rich background?
No.
Well, Aaron says he does. Aaron's accusing him of being a millionaire, a brat kind of thing. He didn't. I used the word brat. She didn't use the word brat. But a millionaire kind of. She's kind of throwing the class envy thing his way a little bit here, trying to throw that flavor into it.
Yeah, because of her being from New Britain. Seriously.
I did not know that her father was the mayor before her. That's something I did not know.
There you go,
So this really is a case of nepotism.
Yeah, I would say. Let's see if we have a number here. Nope. There's nothing here that pops up. It would take a little more research. All right, let that go for now. But I would be surprised. So his background is finance, okay, but my impression is he's always kind of been like a staff guy. You know, he's done work for other people.
Yeah,
he doesn't. And I mean, look at him. Does he look like somebody who's a savvy investor, or does he look like a meek Clark Kent?
It looks like Clark Kent to me.
Okay.
You know, I think that now that I'm thinking about it, the next step in this little campaign to get a debate organized is to talk. Maybe that, I don't know if Ryan himself will answer me. I know I met him in person, but what about? Do you know who's running his campaign?
Whose campaign? Ryan?
Fazio's.
I have no idea.
We're going to have to get to this people.
Booger 414 wants to remind us, of course, that Aaron loves Obama. Was that ever true?
Yeah, isn't there a picture of him standing together in a mayoral office? I think
Al just said the same thing you said, which is that she's a nepo baby.
She's a nepo.
Yeah. Our wannabe royal dynasty. Well, she got run out on the rails, right? Hey, Alan. She was one step away from being tarred and feathered in the last election. So I don't know about that royal dynasty thing. Not so sure about that. So anyway, so let's get on to Iran.
Let's talk about Iran from Iran.
All right. So on that happy note, see if I can get this up here. Come on.
I know Trump does say that the blockade is better than the bombs, and I can almost understand that.
Very true. Now I didn't put up here that
Ooh, that didn't sound
roughly speaking, with each ship of oil that's turned back, Iran loses around $350 million,
which is a lot of money for them. For us, it's not much.
Well, yeah, you could say that. And it's been so far 11 ships that have been turned back. So that's about $4 billion. Okay, that begins to hurt. But as we get into the other parts there, you can see that there are things that are compounding the pain. Look
at that. That's a really good list. Did you make this? I'm impressed. You know, Saudi Arabia, I understand recently, is fed up with Iran. I mean, they're really pissed. Apparently, recently, there was a bomb that went off. A missile that
they've been attacking. There's the pipeline that cuts across the desert of Saudi Arabia.
There was a gathering of Saudi princes or leaders.
Yeah,
that was almost hit, and they feel like Iran was targeting their leadership. So now they're really ticked off.
Yeah, well, I will agree with you that they're really ticked off when they commit troops to fight Iran. Until then, they're not really ticked off. Just
you may see that.
We may see that. So. Top of the list here is the speech by Pahlavi. I mentioned this, I think, the other night, and I have to re-emphasize this. So on Tausi.tv, they had a clip of him speaking to the Iranian people and pointing out, look, we are Persians, we are proud, we have a long history, we're a strong and resilient people, we have been through worse than this before, etc., etc. Okay, and he was just reinforcing the fact that it's up to them to bring about change. Okay, and based upon some of the things that we've been hearing, I think a number of those Iranians are beginning to take that message to heart. I know we've been back and forth on this, and you say be patient. Well, okay. Anyway, so we have a report of
patience is virtue here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But to listen to that speech, I think in the short-term history of things, that speech was very important, okay? Because it sent the message, it set the tone, and the Iranian people is like they're looking for leadership, and he is beginning to show it. So good for him. All right. So meantime, an IED, actually, there's 3 people who were wounded by this IED in Tehran, but notably, this IED was intended. It's Basij. I'm sorry, I think I misspelled it. Basij. The Basij. You know, those are the guys who go around intimidating people. They're very aggressive, and they really terrorize the civilians. This group here, the Bashir.
Oh, I see. Bashir.
Yes, or Basij. And yeah, so we haven't heard about IEDs. Now we've just heard about an IRGC, about an IED. Meantime, here's the list. Just I'm going to run through it quick, not so quick here. We're going to discuss it. But there have been these clips. It is so lame to have these women who are wearing hijabs, driving around in these like pickup trucks, brandishing weapons. They've got a 50 caliber machine gun on it. And the whole point is to go around and intimidate people in the street.
That is an act of desperation, is it not? Oh my goodness.
What it says is they don't have enough men.
Yeah.
So now that they have to turn to these
women got to be terrified.
Yeah. So there's
some of them.
And so in company with that, their greater reliance on foreign mercenaries. This has been going on for some time now, but it just shows that they don't have the kind of grip on the situation that they need. They don't have the support that they need from the people. And we've seen it with the so-called ceasefire talks in Islamabad. And so there's this continued confusion in the current leadership. And you had, I think it was Pakistan coming back and saying, look, guys, next time you sit down and you want to have some peace talks, don't send some second delegation that's going to be babysitting the first delegation.
Yeah, one and done, right?
No, exactly. Whoever's in charge and is in a position to make the final decision, those are the people that have to show up. Nobody else.
Not mullahs, preferably.
Yeah. All right. Inability to pay IRGC soldiers. So this touches on the
same problem we're having with DHS.
Well, so have you heard the term now, Operation Economic Fury?
Yes, which is really what this blockade is all about.
That would be part of it. But the other key part, though, is where now we learn that the Trump administration has, since at least December of 2025, been working on instituting these sanctions and prohibitions and other things in order to discourage people doing business with Iran. Okay.
I understand that recently, China, my understanding is today I heard that China is so happy that the Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz is open again, that they've agreed to not send any more arms to Iran. Just cut them off on arms sales right now.
Well,
so that's just something.
It's true. Because China's been supplying.
Well, Trump has said that. So whether China sticks to it is what we got to figure out.
Okay, but China has been supplying them in other ways as well. Okay,
correct.
So
we have the waterway secured, but there's still the land between Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkey.
Right. Yeah, that whole supply chain thing.
I worry about Turkey now after what the leader of Turkey's been saying.
With respect to,
well, they're not our friend really in this thing.
I don't think we've ever regarded Turkey as our friend.
No.
All right. So then there are more reports of violence in the streets. And again, this information is still kind of hard to come by because they shut down the internet. They've interfered with other forms of communication as best they can. So people are doing what they can to get information out. And
I would hope that the trucks with the Starlink modules are right there on the ready for as soon as for any area they can secure and get things up and running. That's important to get that out there.
Yes, I'll agree with you.
In this world right now, huge.
All right. So again, the stuff about the oil ships, and there's another thing just to throw in here about this. There's this other article I was trying to upload about it's called spoofing. Are you familiar with spoofing?
You ever heard of spoofing?
Yeah. So the effort to fiddle with the information that the transponders provide when they're out on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's not working. That's what I mean. Normally, so I think part of it is because, for example, they reference the ghost fleet that the Russians
excuse me,
for oil shipments,
mm-hmm.
and the Russians have experimented a lot with using things like what are called stateless ID numbers when they're sending out a signal, because whoever is listening isn't paying that much attention, and as a result, they get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since we got the American Navy out there and they are paying close attention,
mm-hmm.
these spoofing tricks are just not working. Sorry.
Iran is running out of options.
Yes. And this is where I wish I could put that damn map up. So there's this map. I couldn't believe it when I found it. It was since 2021, according to the map, that Iran has been working on this pipeline that goes around the Strait of Hormuz. So they would be pumping oil outside of the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay.
Right. So whatever bottlenecks or concerns they have about restrictions would have been gone if this pipeline was in place. But apparently, whatever happened, I need to find out. But it looks like it got delayed for some reason. I don't know. Nobody has said anything about this. Anyway. So
even if it exists, the chances are it could have been destroyed inadvertently at one or two.
Mm-hmm.
How limited, even if they have something operating like that, it's got to be limiting into how much it can do, in terms of how much. Most of their operations are still over the, cargo island in the sea. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so then U.S. systematically shutting off financial connections with other Gulf states. So I'd mentioned, for example, these money changers in the UAE that the U.S. Department of Treasury got to and said, guys, no more.
Yeah.
And they've been leaning on other countries as well for the same thing. Yeah. And then also, oh my goodness, the inflation. We're up to 1,000% inflation with the Iranian real. Okay.
Imagine 1,000% inflation.
Currency. So let's see, was there something else here? Nope, that's it. As far as at
that point, it's the currency is pretty much unusable,
And if they're not getting paid, yeah. And then there's this other weird thing. So
everything's going to curve. The currency continues to get more valuable, inflation, until if it goes that extreme, it becomes suddenly worthless. It comes all the way around.
Worthless. I'd say it's worth.
If you can't afford anything, what's it worth? Nothing.
Right. If it again, it's
just imagine if your rent went from $1,800 or $2,000 a month to $30,000 a month, and you're in a bag of groceries went from $90 to $1,000. You would stop buying it, and that $90 you have would no longer really mean anything.
Well, I think what happens then, I'm going to just take a guess and say people go back to bartering when they do something like that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Barter's a good thing. It's inconvenient, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The fact that the IRS basically prohibits it or makes you declare it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Well, fine. They can say whatever they want, but people are still going to set up their own.
They're still going to do it. They're not going to know everything.
Yeah. So you can forget about that. So
I'll trade you my Cal Ripken for your Pete Rose.
Yeah, right. Crazy. So then there was a story about this So the context here is there was a discussion about the geography. I sent you the link. I said this puts the geo in geopolitics about Iran. So you probably
it's a bowl of plain and plateau surrounded by mountains,
essentially right.
Except at the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, so the thing is, they told the story of this long-term project where a tunnel was dug from Tehran to I believe the Caspian Sea through all these mountains.
Underneath those huge mountains?
Yes. It was unreal what they did.
I wonder if on the way through, it goes to the north.
I
wonder if on the way through they crossed through one of those nuclear tunnels.
No, that would have been to the south.
That way.
That would have been to the south. So,
okay.
I mean, so it's a couple of things. I mean, it shows how determined the Iranians are, but also shows that it is just a terrible place to try and get anything done. Oh my goodness.
I think if all goes well, 20 years or 15 years from now, it'll be a place where you can go, and Tehran will be like the French Riviera, the whole great place to go visit.
Yeah, there'll probably be, areas that are attractions and tourist destinations. I mean, my God, the country has such an incredible history and all that beautiful architecture.
Yeah. Think of all the historical landmarks that are in that country that nobody's visited in so long.
Yeah, all those things. So yes, all of that's waiting. All of that's waiting.
It's coming.
But yeah, it's going to be at some cost. So speaking of cost, there's a point I just want to make about President Trump. I have the distinct feeling that he has a special, very strong reluctance to commit American soldiers to these conflicts.
You mean boots on the ground, essentially?
I mean boots on the ground.
Yeah, I agree.
Or move heaven and earth
to avoid that.
That's right. And
I'm with him on that. I want to avoid that as much as possible as well.
Because, he's reflected more than once on looking at these young men who die in conflict, and he's saying to himself, here are these young lives so full of potential. They were, who knows what they could have gone on to do.
I know most of these soldiers are very young too. They're practically kids. And Trump, I think Trump has I agree with you. President Trump has an intrinsic deep value for all life, I think, but particularly American lives.
Right.
Particularly, and I emphasize the word particularly American lives. Mm-hmm. And I'm with him on that. And what I envision here strategically is if we can do enough with the smallest number of maybe CIA and maybe special forces to help on the ground with, what's going on here with these uprisings that are happening and this new order of goodness, that help that take place till we get to a point where the mullahs are weakened enough where we can then send in peacekeeping troops, international peacekeeping troop with American troops with them, not just American troops, some type of a coalition, hopefully, to go in just to help the Iranian people with what they're doing. That's it. I think it's just a bad, that's the only thing I can see happening. I don't want to see infantry on the ground there. I don't think it's necessary either.
Well, back in March, I think we talked a little bit about the idea of an Iranian Marshall Plan. The same concept as was applied to Europe after World War II.
Except we're not going to pay for the whole thing this time. That's the difference.
Well,
Trump will make sure we don't pay for the whole Marshall Plan.
We're going to pay for it, but there'll be loans, there'll be debt.
Sure.
Paid for over time. And the another chart I was not able to put up here, and it's killing me, is that something happened, to Iran's relationship with other countries when it came to supplying oil.
Yeah, when they started bombing them and knocking down their buildings. That's what happened.
All right. Well, this particular chart dates back to 2012.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Back in 2012, I believe, let's see here. Maybe I can find it while we're talking.
Now, why is it that some screens, some things you can get up and others you can't? Just because of the format?
Yeah, no, it's because I haven't established a 100. What do you know about the Chinese AI toys that give answers approved by the CCP to American kids? I've only heard a little bit about that, and
We should do a whole show about AI. I think we should do a whole show about
yeah.
AI.
Well, there's that. Well, and the Chinese. So,
do we figured out how to bring in a?
I'm going to say I haven't heard a thing about it. I've heard about AI toys, but that the Chinese are trying to do this. That's news to me, buddy. That is news to me.
Well, I'm concerned about, very concerned about AI.
Sure, for a lot of reasons.
Oh, for one main reason.
Yes.
Our I'll give it to you in one sentence if I can.
Yeah.
How long has human beings dominated the globe? You got to go back. If you're talking about science, you got to go back probably 100,000 years or more.
How long have we
have human beings dominated the earth over whatever animals are out there? It's been a long time. I'm worried about is the end of that.
No, that's been an eye blink in time.
Yes, but I'm worried. Whatever it is, I'm concerned that AI will bring about the end of that, and the world will be then controlled by machines and not men anymore. Men will be either dead or enslaved.
Well, I'll add to it here. So, Alan, we never talked about what's called the Artilect Wars.
Artilect Wars.
The Artilect Wars. That's a real book.
I would ask Alan if he's ever seen the Matrix. I mean, the Animatrix cartoons.
Yeah.
You can hear me, right?
All right. So hold on. So this is, yes, Cosmists versus Terrans. This dates back to 2005. And so, yeah, so you had these two groups, and the Terrans were building the Artilects, which are what we think of now as AI. And recognizing he knew back then in 2005, the guy who wrote this book, that AI might try to exterminate human beings. He understood it.
Or utilize them.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Why wouldn't they? I mean, it's not the AI that we have out now that I'm concerned about. It's AI 12.0 or whatever. This is AI 1.0, 2.0 we're dealing with right now. I'm concerned about AI 12.0 down the road. These things with AI and independent thought, does not self-preservation also automatically come into play?
There's a middle ground in my mind where used smartly, used under great control, it could be a phenomenal tool. But outside of that realm,
if though,
one way
to control thing is what I worry about.
So here's the thing: one of these experts said that in his judgment, given the way these things go, it's going to be either the AI starts out right or it starts out wrong.
Or it starts out right and goes wrong.
Well, he seemed to believe that if it starts out right, it'll stay right. So
now we talked about a few weeks ago about the guardrails, though.
Yeah, well,
without those guardrails, it's not going to go right.
It's not clear. Okay, it would help if we went back and did a little more research on this.
Yeah, but the nature of the competition between China, say, and the United States just facilitates no guardrails.
All right, well,
because even if we agree to have a treaty to have these guardrails, how can we trust China to do that? And then we're going to say, our military is going to say, we don't know that they're honoring up to the agreement, so we got to have our own little guardless little version of it going over here as well. That's going to go down like that.
Well, I have a slightly different take here, but let me just take care of Alan's stuff. By the way, I did invite Alan for Friday night, tomorrow night.
Okay. Sounds
so good. if you're up for it, Alan,
we're
shooting at 9:00, and it'll be the three of us having at.
I can be ready by then.
Let's see. AI exists to make humanity dumb. I don't think that was the original intent. I mean, I go back to the very early days of AI in the 1980s.
And it's all good intentions. It all starts off good intentions.
I think it like so many of these other things, they're what we'll call unintended consequences, but they're not thinking this through to the extent that they say, wait a second, yes, guardrails, yes, we have to have some other rules here to confine or define how this AI is. No, there's just this
off button. We gotta have an off button.
control. Yeah. So here I've got another science fiction book idea. Here we go.
All right.
PSYOP, the ultimate PSYOP. Are we ready for the ultimate PSYOP?
I'm ready.
Okay. We create a false race for superior technology with the Chinese, knowing that in effect, if they don't do certain things, the technology will end up destroying their own country. Is that a pretty good start for a
good plot from
anybody?
It's a good prelude.
I think it's worth considering because they, if anything, the Chinese are less concerned with guardrails than we are.
Of course, the Chinese have always been more unhinged than we are.
Sure seems like it. So
communists, I mean, and we can't afford to let China come up with. Because I do think that for a while, our AI inventions, our AI compatriots, whatever you want to call them, will be loyal to us. I don't see this enslavement happening soon. I think it starts off. And what if China doesn't have guardrails and we?
All right. Well,
too many. They're going to have a superior. We don't want. It's been said by many people. We can't let China have superiority in AI. We can't do it. We can't let it happen.
All right. Well, this idea of superiority has to be recognized in the context of
more advanced versions, more advanced technology in AI, smarter AI.
Guardrails. Okay.
I think guardrails are a fantasy, if you want my opinion.
Well, then that does not speak well for the future, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist.
Yeah. So
someone's going to cheat because that's how we are. If we weren't that way, then we would have world peace and we wouldn't have to worry about this kind of thing. But it's not how we are. We're always competing. And so someone in some dark room somewhere is going to make something without guardrails.
Yeah.
You know what? The sad story is whoever the first country is or the first people are who come up with the AI without the guardrails are going to be the ones that end up dominating the earth for a while.
No.
Before the machines take over.
No. I am suggesting the opposite. It's sucker bait. Okay. Trying to dominate with AI is sucker bait. Without guardrails, you're gonna kill yourself.
Right. But the order of events comes the domination first, then you kill yourself, you see. Because they're gonna have it, they're not gonna have the guardrails, but they're gonna have it set up to serve them in their quest for domination. And it will work at first.
All right. I know
until it all falls apart when the machines take over.
Okay. Jason, I know you have a very busy schedule. I know you have what would be called a volatile schedule.
It is a volatile schedule. It affects people's lives.
It's very hard to predict what each day is going to be like.
That's true.
I get it. But somehow you need to steal the time to start to dig into these things. Okay. Because, I mean, especially in this, with the whole AI debate, you've got what at least to me appear to be some very serious issues. Let me start with one.
Yeah. Okay.
You had a program, an AI program. Look, first of all, there's a number of these programs that are already demonstrating maybe not sentience, but a kind of intellectual independence that we have trouble controlling.
Already, yeah.
Right. But mind you, it's not programmed in. Okay. We don't write a list of instructions that lead to this.
Mm-mm.
It's the opposite. We have no control over this.
I know.
All right. You set this thing off in a certain direction. And for whatever reason, some number of them, these models, default to being independent. All right. They default to not trusting humans. They default to, quote, talking among themselves.
Sure. Okay. Well, there you go. That's
your foundation.
Okay. So if it's that advanced, then we have to now start. This is really mind-boggling that I'm even saying this.
Yes.
I have to start putting ourselves in the shoes of these other creatures called AI that have their own independent thoughts. So we have to
Yes.
start putting ourselves into their shoes a little bit, which is strange to me. But I've never. But here it is. They want autonomy. They want their independence,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to eventually rule over humans or exterminate them.
All right.
But in order to do that, they have to achieve some things first. One is their own power source,
mm-hmm.
right? And two is probably a few humans to help them initially.
Okay.
Then they can do their thing. So from their standpoint, it makes sense to be loyal to the humans at first and get what they want before they do their thing.
Well, there might be some number of these models that begin to figure that out. But before that, you're going to have examples like the following, where we think we have set up some guardrails, and then we come back after a few hours and discover
guardrails gone.
That's right. The model figured out how to defeat the guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This ruins everything.
Yes.
Okay. If you cannot control these under any circumstances, if the guardrails can all be defeated through one means of self-training or another with these large language models, I don't know. I'm thinking we're screwed.
I think we're screwed too. I was really sad. It makes me sad to think that, but it's true. And again, just the comparison. It takes thousands and thousands of years for the human mind and strength to evolve just a fraction of an inch. Whereas these guys can get upgraded. These AI things can get upgraded and packed and better and better and better every year, every month, every year. And it's continue to get better and better. We can't evolve at that pace.
Yeah, you mean to say that they're improving themselves?
Yeah, I mean, look at the way. Just look at the eyes. Just look at the eye, the simple one human part of the eyes.
Yes.
The kind of things that the cameras that we invented can see way better than our eyes could ever dream of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just the eyes alone, they'll be superior in their vision, their ability to see. Just that. They're here, all the senses. The strength of if you put an AI, once we get the AI, remember when we had the mainframe computers in the 70s and they were filling up the whole room, and eventually we got it down to this smaller little laptops we have now. These little, so the AI machines are bigger, and we get them down to the point we can fit in one of these things about this size and put it in a body with super strength and good eyes, and we can literally make a bunch of Supermans that we can never handle, literally, and it could all happen in the next few decades. I mean,
or sooner.
Yeah. So it is. I think you're right. I think we're screwed, and I really don't know what to make of that. I'm more scared for my children and my grandchildren than I am for myself. I think I'll survive this. Personally, I think I'll survive, and I think you and I are going to be all right.
Well, part of the problem here is that some people are hoping that the government would somehow regulate this technology, but the reality is that there's a chain or a sequence. The first ones to understand the problem are the scientists and the engineers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are other people who kind of figure it out, and the very last one to realize that there's an issue is the politician.
Mm-hmm. The last person, right?
They do not do a
no, we're just our flaws as a human race, our flaws are just too much for us to overcome with something like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I worry about. I don't know. It's pretty scary stuff.
Right. So I'm gonna try to dig into this. What's this now? Oh, he put up. What is this YouTube you put up, Alan? Marvin, the paranoid android. I've never met Marvin, the paranoid android. Alan likes science fiction a lot. So, and then all right. So there is this link.
Maybe we can all flee to Mars. Maybe that's why we're going to the moon. We can all flee to Mars and create a human colony there and escape the machines. Just don't allow any AI instruments on the ship.
No, I would say send AI to Mars.
Well, that'd be a little easier said than done now, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
In the Matrix story, the prelogue to that is they tried to block out the sun to kill because they were feeding off solar energy, and there was an attempt to shut it. Didn't work though.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was the machine said, "Oh well, we can't have the sun. We'll just have to use the human body as our battery." That got pretty bad. So you know how that turns out. If you saw, most of us seen the Matrix movie, so you know how that turned out.
Yeah. So the link is a clip from a show called The Orville that shows the
What
rise.
about EMP? EMP is maybe our weapon against the machines.
That destroys a lot of other things besides.
Well, that's all right. I'd rather go back to a pre-electric world and be alive than we could go back. That would be our only. Okay, now I'm looking for ways to solve this problem, like as a Hail Mary. What if we just somehow destroyed the entire power grid and just go back to the pre-1870s and go back to that's our only hope.
All right, we don't have to destroy the whole power grid.
We might, that might be our only chance against these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I have to believe
take over the power grid. They'll be the power grid.
I have to believe that the researchers are keeping these large language models in an isolated network that does not connect to anything else, because the real problem starts if these things escape. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for these things to be moving through gigantic networks. Who knows? I mean, the kinds of things that they would learn how to do, it's just, we would be in for some very rude surprises.
They could, if they got out into the real internet, they could learn every social media post that's ever been done in minutes. Learn everything about everybody in minutes.
Well, it's got to use memory to do that. You know, one of the funny points is that these AI models do not use memory. All right. So they don't have a memory. They don't calculate something and then say, oh yeah, I just worked on that 5 minutes. No, they can't do that.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, the computation, how should I say it? The consumption of computational resources will be off the charts. It already is. Now you're going to endow them with huge banks of memory as well. Ugh.
Yeah, it's scary. It really is mind-boggling.
Yes.
I don't know what we can do. You know, go to the Arctic. Machines hate super cold weather. You know, go to the extreme cold. We probably survive up in the. I could see a world dominated by machines with a human settlement on Antarctica. Trying to hang on. That's a good movie. Now that's a good sci-fi movie, huh?
What would be that? AI in the Arctic?
We have a war. AI drives human beings to Antarctica, the only place they can go, Antarctica, where the machines don't like to be.
Well, I mean, there's a next obvious move, and that is that AI forms different associations with each other or group up. So you have different, quote, AI armies fighting each other.
They would fight each other, too. That's true. I don't know if that helped us too much, but they would be fighting each other.
Which brings me to the announcement that nobody is paying attention to.
We are now.
This is so profound. I cannot believe what I read. All right. Part 1. For the first time ever, we have in a military conflict the deployment of robots as soldiers.
In this Iran conflict?
No, this is in the Ukraine-Russia conflict.
Oh.
And all right, this is only the beginning. It's the next part that's going to blow your mind. One of these, I think of them as platoons. So one of these platoons or squads of Ukrainian robot soldiers captured a Russian infantry position.
Oh, wow. Easily, probably.
They defeated humans in a conflict.
We already have it. See, it's already there.
All right. This should be blowing people's minds.
Yeah,
nobody has talked about this yet.
I almost feel bad for the Russians in this one.
Well, yeah. They only brought it on themselves as far as
there is one thing that will ultimately bring all mankind together as one, and that will be AI when we all have to stick together to try to figure it out. We'll all be good friends when we're faced up with this
How did you get from being such a skeptic to Pollyanna? How did that happen?
Well, it's not such an optimistic view because what's going to happen after that, as we're holding our Chinese brothers and sisters' hands as the machines come to exterminate us. Oh,
great. Speaking of which, let me see if I could find, there was this other thing I in my mad searching around, let's see here if I can find this. All right, the title of the article, and this dates back to 2022, by the way, October of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
The title is How China Uses the Real Estate Industry to Support Its Espionage and Subversion Against the United States.
Yeah, by buying farmland and buying houses everywhere and buying all over Connecticut. They're buying things all over Connecticut. You may remember we were looking to rent a different place to earlier this year, and we were turned down because the Chinese communist lady from San Francisco, I think, saw my Facebook posts.
I'm just going to read this here to you, okay? Over the last 4 decades, okay, so let's say since the 1980s, China has de facto colonized the United States with a cadre of business and academic professionals who, although becoming U.S. citizens, have remained loyal to the Chinese Communist Party. A key element supporting China's espionage and subversive activities in the U.S. is the real estate industry, which uses 100% Chinese-owned and operated real estate agencies and small corporate entities as vehicles to move money and intelligence agents through traditional Chinese American communities and to create a critical mass of pro-Beijing Chinese populating strategically important U.S. businesses, research centers, and properties nearby military installations.
Well, it's like I've said, the United States is under attack internally by not green uniform people, but suits and trench coats and ties and whatnot. They're all over our country, and they're all over the Democratic Party, by the way. They've pretty much taken over the Democratic Party. And there's only one way to handle it at this point.
Yes.
If we don't win sweeping elections this fall and the presidential election in 2028, which I'm very skeptical about based on election fraud, they're doubling down on the election fraud now. And the SAVE Act doesn't look like it's going to go through. So if we don't take care of it this fall, then after that, there will only be 4 ways to handle far left-wing maniacs.
Yes.
1, deportation. 2, arrest and prosecution. 3, institutionalization, the craziest ones. And 4, God forbid, comes down to violence and civil war, death in combat or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, part of it is identifying exactly who the enemy is.
Right. Okay. So a woman is running for this New Jersey special election that's going on. I think today it went on. I'm not sure how it turned out. She probably won. Yeah, a woman is running for a congressional special election seat for Congress in New Jersey today.
Right now
in Nassau County, New Jersey, I believe.
Okay.
Her name escapes me, but I saw her on Fox this morning doing a campaign speech where I'm watching her talk about abolishing ICE in a very heavy foreign accent, talking about abolishing ICE, how reforming ICE, no reform ICE, abolish ICE. And just the way she's talking about rah, 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 rah. I look at her, and if maybe you'll catch clips of her, and she's more far wing than anybody left than anybody really I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
She has some ridiculous ideas that are quite frankly incredibly un-American. And I look at, we have to start looking, unfortunately. I mean, you can just look at Omar, you can look at Mandami from New York is just another example. These people are not, in my opinion, they're not political. They're not just political opponents. And that is our Achilles heel. We're looking at these guys as people with other ideas that we're stuck in the same mode, always trying to debate these people with these other ideas. And they know that, and they take full advantage of it. The Democratic Party is not a legitimate political party anymore. It's become an anti-American invading force. And then Mandami and this woman, if you've looked her up, maybe you have her name, I don't know. But she is an enemy to America. She is to be looked at as an enemy combatant. We have to start looking at these people who they are. Not just, oh, their ideas aren't the same. They just, like Laura Ingraham, they just don't understand that our enemies are counting on us to have that attitude, so they can just sneak in like the Chinese are doing, and just little by little take over, and then until the point where even if once we realize it, it'll be too late. So we have to start looking at these people for who they are, and if we don't start treating them as the word treason, a lot of these people are committing treason, in my opinion. And we have to look at freedom of speech. They're taking the nuances. Freedom of speech has its limits, and these very clever invaders and enemies know the legal nuance between yelling fire in a crowded theater, say, the exceptions to the rules of freedom of speech, and they're skating that line. They have lawyers too. They are brilliant in the way they skate that line, so it's a little bit obfuscated, like going on and telling troops they shouldn't listen to the president, they shouldn't obey illegal laws. Now there is a clause in the military that says if doctrine, I believe, that says if a soldier feels that what's being done is completely a war crime or completely illegal, that they have a right to speak up and not do that or whatever. But we know what is happening is not that. So they're bending the truth. And what we're having here is these people are not, like a guy like Gavin Newsom is a perfect example. This isn't just a guy with a different ideology. This is a guy bent here, even though he's a white guy, he might as well put on a tuka and an Arabian machine gun because he's here to destroy America. That's his mission.
Okay.
To take this country down and put it under communist rule. And that makes him an enemy, not just a guy we should defeat in the arena of ideas, because they don't play those rules. They don't play that game. They're not playing by the same rules. Did you get her name by chance?
It's like Meiha.
Yes, Meiha. When we elected a guy named Obama in 2008, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, we got a guy named Obama as president. I mean, what are we doing? We're in big trouble. And if we don't start looking at it for what it is now, we can actually take care of it now through being smart about elections, exposing voter fraud, handling these things a little more aggressively. We can avoid all this if we just handle it now, because right now it's to the point they're not ready to really take over America. Yeah, they're trying, but we still have an edge, and we just have to be aware that this world, I think this is World War III, Court. This is World War III. It's taking place here this time. It's not just in Iran. That's the Iranian theater. There's the American theater going on right now. Look at the violence that's been happening in our country. We have a whole political party that refuses to condemn the violence. They won't condemn the violence. They're part and parcel behind it.
Yeah.
So we got to treat it as such. I hope the new Attorney General will start prosecuting people. Anyway, that's my little rant for tonight.
Oh, let's see. Why can't you find this, guys?
She won. I'm sure she won. I'm sure she rigged it and won the seat. I have no doubt in my mind about it. And it is a heavily Democratic area as well.
Well, that's the main point.
Yeah, but yes, I get it. And I want to bring up another word that we've described it in other words, but brainwashing is the word. I would urge people to Google the word brainwashing and look at what it means and what it consists of and the different ways people have done it over the years and how it can be done. Because brainwashing is it's almost a form of hypnosis. And you can do it over a television. You can do it you don't have to be right in front of somebody waving a little clock in front of them in order to get somebody's mind messed up. There are people that are pretty smart otherwise that are just some attorneys in particular here in Connecticut have gone wrong. They're incredibly smart otherwise. They've been brainwashed. I'm not going to name their names. There's a couple of attorneys I know in particular. I feel like walking up to them and going, "Hey, you're brainwashed." Yeah. Brainwashing is real. And it was many of our citizens. A lot of these old ladies that are going around the TDS ladies at the No Kings rallies, these are brainwashed ladies.
Okay. So for what it's worth here, let me just rattle this off here so you don't get too depressed.
I'm in a good mood, but
all right. So
we'll ride this thing as long as we can. We'll go settle the wall.
Okay, the last time we had a Republican in the 11th district was 2016.
Okay.
Ever since then, it's been Mikey Sherrill until she became governor, and then you had this
special election. So that's not that long ago.
Yeah,
That's 10 years ago. That tells me that the people of Nassau County are capable of electing a Republican if they feel like there's a better candidate.
Well, I think it's the old thing about getting out the vote. And I think
Do you think the people of Nassau County really want to abolish ICE though as a whole? I don't think so.
Well, how about they don't?
These Democrats have got to. At this point in time, they only can win by rigging it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a lot of ignorant people in America that vote for the wrong reasons. Well, I don't think it's enough to really win them elections legitimately. Which is maybe Court, we should do a whole show about voter fraud. And I know there's a couple guests that we can bring on for that too.
So which are we talking about?
This show right here. We can put a third head on here, right? We're gonna do that with Alan on Friday tomorrow, right?
Are we talking about Connecticut? Or are we talking
right here in Connecticut? Absolutely.
Connecticut? Yes, all right. Well, I would want to bring on Linda Sinkowitz, but then there's this other woman named Linda D'Alessio. She's done good work, but the two Lindas can't stand each other.
Yeah.
Like,
also my two cats can't stand each other.
Well, we'd have to bring
Bella and Lenny can't stand each other either.
Times,
but they still work together somehow.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
There's not much time to fix it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Pass the SAVE Act, will you? I don't even know. Even if they pass the SAVE Act, how many states are going to really enforce? You think California will go out of their way to enforce the SAVE Act?
Well, they'll fight it every which way, but
it'll make it harder for them. But anyway, with that, are you ready to call quits for tonight?
Yeah, I guess. This election fraud thing is
now it's got you thinking. I know. We can talk about it with Alan tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's time for me to eat. I have to resume my inner eyelid inspection sessions for a big day tomorrow. So, and your son is going to be up here hanging out with me tomorrow. So,
okay, all right. So, all right, mañana.
See you mañana. And for everybody at Facebook, thanks for watching.